The NSE 20 share index up marginally 0.09%. We had a fluke. We thought we'd hit 4,000, but we hadn't. But now it appears it's heading there, about 25 points to get there.
Yes, certainly. I think there's a lot of momentum now. You know, we have quite a bit of information probably coming through. I think that could sort of help the market sort of find this level.
What will be driving that? EABL has been one of the key counters this past few weeks. Is that still likely to be the case, especially because of a large number of foreign investors?
Yes, quite a bit of demand on EABL, especially globally. You know, emerging market brewers have been quite attractive, and so that has also boosted quite a bit of demand on the back of that. Safaricom results are coming up end of this month or early November. We expect those ones to be very good, so that could also provide a bit of catalyst. Kenya Power is about to announce results, Uchumi, and so forth. So I guess that there's probably quite a bit of information coming up now.
This front page story on the Business Daily, NSE investors gaining about 290 billion shillings because foreign investors, rather because the market has picked up. It's one of the best performing frontier markets globally.
Yes, and actually in dollar terms, you know, because the currency also could play a very important part.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the prices have risen, whether the shareholders have actually gotten that money
or not. Yes.
But yes, the share prices have increased quite significantly.
Let's talk about Safaricom, which you mentioned just a bit. The first half numbers are about to be out, but that will not perhaps be an indication of everything that's happening in the market right now. The latest of which is that 10% excise tax introduced by Treasury to try and make more money to pay for teachers, lecturers, doctors, new wages. Is this any serious cause for concern?
I don't think so. I think it probably be a trade-off with other things which are happening in the sector. But that specifically, if you look at the use of M-Pesa, it almost the entire adult population really uses M-Pesa. So it's a very difficult tool to sort of move away from. And a 10% increase in itself, I don't see it resulting to a significant reduction in usage.
Even though the application of this says that the extra cost should not be borne by the consumers, but by the providers of this, the Safaricom's, Airtels, and Oranges of this world.
It's really difficult not to see it eventually being borne by the consumer. Maybe probably be shared, but I think, you know, it depends. I think really the main player being targeted here is Safaricom. If they think the platform is profitable enough, then they might decide to absorb that or part of that. But I think that's something they'll be looking at. But I think if you look at the other aspect, there's the MTR issue which has not been resolved.
Yes.
And you know, the decisions that you're seeing the government taking now appears to be very keen to ensure that, you know, they raise revenues. So, you know, increasingly now I see it as likely to be a very difficult decision for the government to actually lower the MTR. And so overall, if you look at the tariffs in the economy, you know, the government would be more keen to see tariffs going up or at least remaining where they are, which really means the risk of MTR going low on the part of Safaricom, I think, you know, are increasingly diminished. Because
Safaricom is the dominant player here and is also the only profitable operator.
Yes, certainly, and because the government gets 26% of revenue, so on airtime, so that percentage is very key for it in terms of collecting revenues from the sector.
Let's move on to one of those troubled stocks which everybody has been talking about this past almost half a year, CMC Holdings. Now the minority shareholders have been allowed to sue the management and the directors because of losses, because of fraud and all these sorts of things. Is this a game changer because it was the CMA extended its suspension for a further 90 days?
Yeah, I think the minority shareholders are also very keen to have the annual general meeting held,
yes,
which has been postponed a couple of times, and I think the court actually agreed with that the suit could actually proceed.
But what happens here? Some people say, you know what, let's just have CMC delisted and then everybody can move ahead. This has been a headache for too long.
No, actually delisting doesn't solve the problem. In fact, minority shareholders are better positioned in a listed company than an unlisted one.
But already they've lost so much in terms of price appreciation, and the whole time this counter has been off trading. So for me, if I was holding CMC stock, it would not make sense anymore for me.
I think resolving the issues that are pending is more important.
Yes.
And then it does have an attractive franchise of assets. So I think resolving that, I think, is very key to ensure that this value is not lost entirely. So I think the process, probably let the process sort of take its due course and see what happens.
We're into a new month. How do you think the shilling is playing out? The CBK is still supporting it quite steeply. 2.32 billion shillings is how much of excess liquidity it picked up on Friday alone.
Yeah, it's the central bank has been quite active. Actually, quite surprised by the activity, and in fact, we've also started seeing interest rates starting to creep up slightly up.
Yes.
If you look at how much in terms of maturities that are coming up in the coming year, about 170 billion, and then if you look at the additional borrowing requirements, about 106 billion, it really tells you, I guess the central bank is trying to play a very sort of delicate role here in order to ensure that it has affordable credit for the government, while at the same time ensuring the stability of the shilling.
But those interest rates, you actually say they're starting to creep up again. From the ordinary consumer who's looking for credit is still very expensive. The average, I would say, is somewhere around 18-19% right now. Maybe not what we might expect considering what the CBR is, and many people say the CBR should really ideally be around 10%. Yeah,
I think credit will probably remain expensive for some time, and we've already seen the demand for credit slowing down. Mm-hmm. So the activity of the central bank, probably means that they don't want increase in credit to the economy to sort of spike. So I guess it's just from what they're looking at.